Hello, everybody, and welcome to the inaugural episode of this holistic healing podcast that I have. And my goal here is to help you all just learn more about holistic healing in ways that can help you feel better inside and out. And there are so many holistic healing modalities out there that I myself am not an expert in. That's why I'm bringing in other people to come share their expertise with you. So on our first episode ever, I'm going to introduce to you an amazing NASM certified personal trainer and nutritionist who's going to share a little bit more about food and how it's medicine and how it can help us physically, emotionally, and mentally. So please welcome Christian Harrison. Welcome to the show.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much. Well, as you said, I'm an NASM personal trainer as of 5 years, and I also have a bachelor's in nutrition science. And the best way I can describe my work is that I like answering my clients a question. What are the best physical and nutritional strategies someone can do in order to achieve the most optimal results? Because in my opinion, one of the worst things that can happen is that you set yourself out for a fitness goal and 4, 6, 8 months down the road, you look in the mirror and you say, what the heck? Absolutely nothing has happened.
Right.
So I work with my clients to make sure that that doesn't happen. And I do that through, nutrition, as she said, but also movement.
Right. Right. I love that. I love that it's so holistic because you can't just move only and expect to get results only from physical fitness. Like you have to incorporate the diet, the nutrition. And I know something about you, which really drew me to have you as my first ever interview is I love your passion about nutrition. Can you tell me a little bit more about your experience with nutrition and what made you so passionate about it?
Actually, it was a book that really got me into nutrition. So usually what I like doing is that I'll go to the bookstore and I'll check out different sections of there just to see what kind of just to see what things people are talking about.
Just to see.
Exactly, right? So when I was 17, I was with my brother, and at that point I was just focusing on exercise. I was like 15 years old. I don't really know anything about like calories.
Right.
So I'm like, what's in the nutrition section? And I went in there, and what caught my eye was this book called The Obesity Code by Jason Fung. I highly recommend this book.
Great book. Highly recommend. I'll put the link.
You've read it before.
In the show notes. Yep. Yeah.
Well, there we go.
It's the best. Dr. Jason Fung, just a little shout out. He's amazing. But what was it about the book that got your interest?
What got my interest was, I've never heard anything above calories. And maybe macros if you want to be fancy. Among bodybuilding or something. But it said at the bottom, unlocking the secrets of weight loss, utilizing insulin. And at that time, I'm like, what the heck is insulin? I thought insulin was like the thing that you use for diabetics.
Right, which it is. We'll go into that in a little bit. But yeah, so you learned about insulin, and then it just sort of was like, what is this? And then it got your curiosity peaked.
Exactly. Exactly. And don't worry, I know that it's for diabetics. Don't worry. You just
All right.
Like, why am I here again? No, I'm playing. But no, I ended up reading through the book a bit. Me and my brother used to spend hours at the bookstore when we were younger.
Oh.
Exactly. So I read about 30 pages, and I was instantly enamored with how he viewed nutrition and how intricately our bodies are designed to actually work with it. We think, when we're thinking of eating, we just eat and that's that, right? But we don't think about the degree at which our bodies are capable of utilizing that energy for daily activities, just for existing. And that to me struck me as one of the most beautiful things. And I thought, most people have no idea to the degree our bodies are willing to work for each other.
Right.
So, work with us, I should say, actually.
Right.
So that really made me think I want to share this in the best and most digestible way that I possibly could. And then how do I do that? Well, that's what got me into nutrition ultimately.
Oh, okay. Amazing.
Exactly.
I love that. A lot of people don't know, because I used to be a personal trainer, and I feel like nutrition is just kind of like this thing where it's like, oh, I just have to eat these things for weight loss, but you don't realize how important the quality of the food you eat is, not only on your body physically, but also emotionally and mentally, like just how important it is.
Right.
And just to share a little bit about me, I was actually pre-diabetic in 2017. So that's when I started going into Dr. Fung's books, because Dr. Fung, he's a nephrologist in Canada, and he's really into helping people heal with fasting. And so that's when I learned about fasting and how it can help your blood sugar and things like that. And then when I did that, I saw that, for me personally, I saw that I had so much more energy. I just it's like this energy unlocked that I had within that I had no idea. So I'm just curious for you, when you looked into this, did you apply what you learned to yourself, and did you notice any difference for yourself in terms of physically, emotionally, mentally?
Well, before, absolutely. First of all, absolutely. First of all, and the biggest thing was we would always hear about junk food, right? We would always hear about, you know, what we define as junk food, like cakes, cookies, soda, stuff like that. But when I was very invested in bodybuilding and just exercise, they would always make the point that it was always just going to be about the calories, maybe the macros.
Right.
So theoretically, I could eat 2,000 calories of Doritos, and as long as that's within my macros, within my calories.
Oh my gosh, don't get me started on the as long as it's in your macros thing. If it fits your macros, it was up to the
calories or macros. If it just fits within this very, very small bubble that does not address an incredible amount of nuances.
Right.
So to that extent, now I'm hearing information on why does it actually matter? Why 400 calories of broccoli is not the same thing as 400 calories of Doritos, for example.
Right.
So ultimately, that was how I ended up applying, because now it's like, okay, now there's a reason for me to actually go for the more whole nutritious foods. They're providing something that the Doritos don't have. If it's within my calories, sure, but that's really only a minute part of the equation, honestly speaking.
Right. Right. So what I'm hearing is that it's more about the quality of your food rather than just the calories.
100%.
And like calories don't matter if the quality of the food you eat is like crap.
Exactly.
You know, it doesn't matter. So with that in mind, what shifts did you make personally for yourself in terms of nutrition, and what differences did you notice in your life?
Well, the first thing is that I started making shifts to more whole foods. So in his book, he had proposed that you start going for more things like meats, more things like fish, more things like fruits, veggies, dairy, you know, things that, you know, exist in nature per se.
Yes, from the earth.
Exactly.
Who would have thought that you just eat food from the planet?
And what's funny is that you would hear that from your mom, you would hear that from your grandma.
Right.
But for some reason in the modern day, that's almost like discouraged. It kind of like regressed back into, oh, it's just calories. It's just macros. Whereas like your mom would be like, eat your fruits and vegetables. And for some reason that narrative was forgotten. And I know a lot of people that share that same experience where there's like this weird regression. And then once they get into nutrition, then they come right back saying, oh, wait a minute. So I wasn't supposed to be eating these Doritos, even if it was in my macros.
Right. It's so weird that we are in this society where that kind of food is like seen as food when it never existed like 50, 60 years ago. Like that wasn't a thing.
Not even there.
Yeah.
And then the first variants of those foods that existed did not have nearly the amount of additives, chemicals that it does today.
Right.
So I do sometimes hear arguments from people in older generations, and they'll say, well, I used to eat Oreos when I was a kid and I was totally fine. Whereas the Oreos that they had back then was like 5 ingredients, where ours is like 30, 40?
40, yeah. 20 was low.
20, I was say 20 was nice.
Right, 20 was nice, right.
Charmaine's nicer than me.
I am. Well, debatable. It depends on the situation. But however, though, okay, so if you eat foods from the planet, real foods from the planet, when you focus on the quality of the food, so you eat real foods that grew from the planet that weren't made in a factory, then what happens to your body? What shifts?
What's funny is that what happens is that your body is essentially back where it was supposed to be, right? It's not that any new things are happening. It is quite literally just providing the materials that it evolved to use.
Right.
That's essentially the biggest thing. So I like saying that our bodies are like temples, essentially. To build a temple and to maintain a temple, you need certain supplies, right?
Right.
And if you don't supply those supplies, then you're going to end up having mold. You're going to end up having broken glass. You're going to end up having the whole structure crumbling down.
Right.
And our bodies are the exact same way. Our bodies are amazing and they're intricate, but in order for them to run, they need specific materials in order to function.
Right.
You don't provide those materials, and then you're gonna experience things like brain fog. You're gonna experience things like stomach aches, diarrhea, random headaches. Those things are signals that something is wrong. They're not something normal that we should just exonerate and move on with our day. That's our bodies telling us something is wrong.
Right.
But what I found is that when I started moving over to those whole foods, is that all of those things drifted away.
Oh, okay.
I probably have headaches once or twice every 2 years now.
What? Wait, that's amazing.
That stomach aches almost never happen unless it's like a holiday and I have something that didn't come from the earth.
Right. I mean, we all have those exceptions. We're not saying, we don't have to completely take those things out. However, I think what you do the majority of the time, honestly, determines.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then that is the importance of the 80-20 rule, right? When people say that, the majority from the earth, but we all have lives. Even the emperors of empires celebrated with a wine or a treat occasionally.
Right.
But they weren't sitting there having it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
No, they were not. It was like, it's a special occasion. We're only going to have it in a special time. But I love that you said, okay, like the brain fog lifted, the headaches went down significantly. And did you notice a difference emotionally or mentally for you personally?
Well, mentally, my memory actually increased dramatically. Or I won't say increase, I will say improved dramatically. I used to viciously take notes in school, and this does not mean don't take notes. This is just me. But I used to have to take a lot of notes, and then right before the exams, I would have to relook at them over and over. And sometimes it just felt like things weren't sticking. But once I started applying that whole food more approach, I realized that I wasn't having to study nearly as much. My study sessions were much more efficient, and my grades were beginning to improve.
Oh, nice.
That was my biggest difference that I noticed.
Right. Like more mental clarity, more mental sharpness and focus, and also, and it's kind of going with what you said, like less brain fog and things like that. So it's crazy. Like I've met people where they've eaten a really poor diet for most of their life, and they were just bad in school, and they just thought they were stupid. But in reality, it was just because the food they ate was messing with their blood sugar and kind of causing their brain confusion that they got bad in school. But then once they changed their diet, they actually did better in school. So it's crazy. Like people then form limiting beliefs because they think that they're stupid, but it's actually the diet that is messing with their mental focus.
Absolutely. And there's plenty of research saying that when you supply adequate nutrients, that things improve dramatically. Like for instance, there are certain countries that eat more omega-3s than others. And then there's a pretty good correlation that those countries that eat more omega-3s actually get higher test scores and have a higher average IQ. So a lot of countries that eat a lot of fish, like, Asian countries, for example, they tend to have higher IQs, and it may be because of that.
Like we're pretty smart. No, just kidding. Sorry.
Whatever.
I mean, I'm Filipino. I do have to say we grew up eating a lot of fish.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. And you can see it.
Yeah.
You can see it in school.
Yeah, exactly. And just going really quick on culture, it's really interesting with culture because, I grew up in a Filipino household, and we did always eat, like my mom home cooked her meals every night. Every night. She always made the food. She prepared fish and meat, rice, everything, veggies. Like she always cooked that. That's how I grew up, that. So I really think it helped me. I mean, I was like I wasn't a straight A student, but I was pretty ambitious. But anyway, it's interesting growing up with that. And then because this episode, I wanted to focus on like how food is medicine. And I'm curious for you, when I say food is medicine, what does that mean to you?
It means food is doing what it's supposed to do. And what I mean by that is that our bodies already have ways to fix itself.
Right.
It already does. I mean, when you get scratched or whatever, you fall, you break your bones or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, we have hospital treatments that help accelerate it, but it's based around the functions that we already inherently have.
Right.
But just like with everything else in our bodies and our minds, we need those certain materials in order to make it happen.
Right.
Right? You're not going to make any collagen if you don't have vitamin C, for example. Your blood isn't going to clot correctly if you don't have vitamin K, for example.
Right.
And I can go on and on and on. But essentially, food is the catalyst for the healing processes that we already have. And we learned this in school. We learned the certain nutrients that go and help heal things through our immune system. We have a name for it, the immune system.
Right.
That's supposed to help us.
Right.
That does help us. The whole
No, it's so crazy that I love think about food that way, that it's just helping our body accelerate its own healing capabilities. And honestly, that's similar to Qigong, because what Qigong can help you do, and in case you don't know about me and you don't know what Qigong is, it's an ancient Chinese moving meditation. And the thing about Qigong is that when you lower your stress and you breathe and you actually turn off the fight or flight mode in your nervous system, you help your immune system turn on and do its job. So I love that perspective with food. Like if you eat certain food, you can actually help your own body heal.
Absolutely.
Naturally, without meds, without having to go to the doctor so often. So on that note, what do you recommend? Because if you have a body that can heal itself and that feels, it's feeling good physically, mentally, emotionally, what do you recommend to eat to help people reduce their inflammation, to help their body heal more effectively?
The best foods for humans are the foods that you could theoretically find in nature without human intervention.
Yes.
So
I love that.
Exactly.
I love that so much.
So I'll give you an example.
Okay.
You can go outside, go into the middle of the forest, and you can find roots, stems, trees, fruits. Right? That makes plant-based products like fruits and vegetables in that category. That's a green flag. That's good. You don't have to plant those. They've existed before we were even here.
Right.
You could also walk in that same forest and occasionally find wild animal life. Making animal products also a part of that category.
Right.
You can also find seeds, so nuts, lentils, seeds, alongside those meats, fruits, and vegetables that I was talking about before.
Right.
Those animals, if they're mammals, carry dairy. And you can do certain things with that dairy, which then makes, cheese, milks, kefirs, stuff like that also go along with that.
Right.
And I would say that, yes, those are the primary things that are best for humans.
Right.
So I would definitely say that those are the ones that, humans should be going for most of the time, the majority of the time. Right.
Majority of the time. So what I'm hearing is, okay, like proteins that come from this earth, they were not made from a factory. And then also fruits, vegetables, vegetation that happened, that grew from the soil and things like that.
Absolutely.
And then also the seeds, the nuts that came from the planet. So literally foods, I like to think about it like one of the things that always stuck with me is like food that has no ingredient list. It is the ingredient. Like an avocado is an avocado.
Exactly.
An egg is an egg,
Exactly.
So yeah, like that.
She's so right. When you make a recipe, it should be an amalgamation of those things together, right? So that's what I recommend.
Right. Yeah. Okay, nice. So I guess for you to make it more practical and tangible, like what's an example of some meals that you eat every single day?
Ooh, see, I'm kind of weird. So
you're weird?
It's
okay. You're in the right space.
Oh, in the right space?
Yeah. All are welcome here.
So it's just the right audience then.
Yes. All are welcome. Anyway, it's okay. I'm weird too, but.
Says Charmaine, not playing. One of my favorite things to eat, and I actually had this morning, actually.
Oh, okay.
So I had 6 ounces of salmon, and it was on top of a bed of kale with some berries, some avocado, and some kefir, an apple, and the apple was sliced alongside with the avocado inside the mixture itself. Right. And I put some honey, some raw honey inside of the kefir.
Oh, okay. That's actually pretty good. Like if you guys go to his Instagram, he has like some beautiful plates on there. Like your food actually looks really nice. Really pretty. Okay, so what I'm hearing is like it's a protein from the earth and also fruits, veggies.
Exactly.
Yeah, and the dairy, the kefir and the honey.
Exactly.
Like natural sweetener.
Exactly. It's
Right.
just, it's literally just an amalgamation of the foods that I recommended, stuff that came from the earth, and you make a dish out of the things that she said. Where, yeah.
Right. And then, okay, because I know you were talking about macros earlier. Some people might ask you like, oh, how much of something should I eat? How do you help your clients with that? Like how much they should eat?
So that way, that's going to require a bit of math and multiplication.
Oh, okay.
So if you
math, all right.
Because it's going to depend on the person's body type, their activity level, and then we're going to have to figure out what ratio should each macro be. I'm not saying macros and calories don't matter. What I'm saying is that the quality is going to matter before you start tapping into the mathematical logistics.
Okay.
Right?
Like, so just first change the food you're eating. Like just eliminate the processed foods, eliminate the refined sugars, added sugars, and focus on just eating food from this earth that's real.
Exactly. And
that's the number one priority.
Exactly. And that's the step that's often missed, glazed over.
Right.
And
which is blows my mind, but go on.
Exactly. But, you know, and with a later question, we could talk about why that most likely is.
Right.
But, you know, ultimately, yeah, once you have that foundation set, then you can start thinking about, okay, how much should I actually be eating and what ratio? You know, I don't want to be a nerd and, you know, start talking about math, but there are calculations that you can do to find, you know, how many carbs, fats, and proteins you should actually eat. So
right. I know just from my old personal training background, I know that there's certain calculations to, you know, calculate how much like your resting metabolic rate and stuff like that. So we won't go into it, but I think the most important thing that people could walk away with is, you know, just look, first of all, track what you're eating. Just like notice what you're eating in a day. Write down what you're eating without lying to yourself. Like be honest about that. And then Christian's watching you. And then
so are you. The way you're looking at the screen, so are you.
Personal trainer. I mean, I'm not a nutritionist, but
look at those guns, you know.
These?
That is the certification.
Thank you. I have some, you know, qualities, credentials. But the first thing is like look at what you're eating, be honest with yourself. And then if there's processed food, like I guess the way to define processed food is just like anything that was made in a factory. It has an ingredients list that's like 30, 40 ingredients. Make sure you're eliminating food that could live on the shelf for like several weeks. That's like that's like not natural. So eliminate those foods and then replace with the meat, the veggies, fruits, the dairy that came from this planet. Just start there. Like literally just start there.
Exactly.
I think.
When I work with my clients and if they are really down in the dumps in terms of, you know, over consuming processed food, I don't even focus on the macros until they actually know where they should be siphoning their food from.
Right.
So, you know, I always tell them, you know, we're going to be foundational and then we can start getting a little bit more anal about how much to eat.
Right.
And during that time, a lot of times my clients will ask me, well, how much should I eat? Then like that.
Yeah.
And what I say is that during this period, your body is already designed to tell you when you've eaten enough.
Right.
You're going to get full.
Right.
Never heard someone say, "Oh man, you know, I'm really just off these mangoes." Like you've never, really just stuff. Like
stuff.
Yeah, like you've never heard someone say, "I need to lay off the mangoes and I need to lay off the kale." You never heard that. You never will, because our bodies are designed to actually send signals to the brain saying, "Okay, we've eaten."
Right.
Right.
And that's what Dr. Fung would talk about a lot is the food sends hormonal signals to your brain from your stomach to your brain to actually let you know you're full, but only if you're eating real food, because processed food, which you could probably speak to that. Like, why does the processed food not make us full? Like, do you have any clues about that?
From my formal education, it is actually incredible to the extent that companies are willing to make foods as addicting as possible.
Right.
They have so many biochemical tests to make sure that it is as addicting as possible.
Right.
Whether that's the specific crunch that chip gives.
Right.
Whether that's specific that the specific kind of ingredient that they add in to give a certain texture after 40 bites. Like the nuance is just incredible. They're trying to get you to continue eating.
Right.
And then they add in ingredients in which do not operate the same in the body.
Right.
And I'll give you an easy example.
Mm-hmm.
The difference between glucose and fructose.
Yes.
Yeah. Glucose is the main carbohydrate used in the body.
Mm-hmm.
Every part of our body uses it.
Right.
And fructose, however, is not used for any function in the body. It's found in sugar and it's found in fruit, and it makes it more desirable.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens is that every time you eat glucose, you have something called GLP-1.
Mm-hmm.
And that essentially goes up to the brain and says, hey, you ate some glucose.
Right.
You know, you can get a little bit more full now. It's like that little progression. You've eaten, right?
Right.
Fructose actually sends the same signal up, but it's a different version of that signal that the brain doesn't recognize and therefore cannot act on it.
Oh.
So essentially, when you eat fructose, it sends that signal and the brain's like, oh, I didn't eat anything.
Oh, that's crazy. That's why, like, when you drink juices and stuff,
you feel like you ate absolutely nothing.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Go ahead.
Another doctor that I like. His name is Robert Lustig.
Yeah, I love him.
Okay, there we go. See, you hear from me both.
I love him.
And he talked about a study where he had, 20 kids go into a McDonald's, and he had 10 of the kids not get a soda with their meal, and he had another 10 kids get a soda with their meal. And he said that despite the fact that the kids on the soda drinking side, ate the entire meal and drank the soda, they were still hungry after, compared to the kids that just had water with their meal.
Oh, that's crazy.
What's the second main ingredient in a Coca-Cola, for example? High fructose corn syrup.
Oh, dang, that's crazy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and just think about the implications that has on kids, not just kids, but adults. Like, if you're constantly hungry, not only does that make you, a little bit like you're thinking so much about food, but it creates addiction. Like, it creates this sort of desire for food that never turns off. And I don't know about you, if you've ever experienced this, but I definitely have had my experience with emotional eating and just wanting to eat even when I'm not hungry. And it's just, it becomes this weird relationship with food where you just feel like you can't stop eating, and then it causes so much negative thoughts in your mind. So it's like, if you could train your body not to have that sort of codependency on food, it calms your mind down. Absolutely. And it helps you just not have that sort of addiction to food. But yeah, I'm curious for you, with working with any clients, have you noticed any sort of like food addiction or anything like that, or any sort of like really hard to get away from the sugar or the processed food?
Most people have at least one or two vices that, play a more destructive role in their eating. And essentially it's kind of, we have to find a way to work around it and kind of wean them off of it. So that is a very common thing that I see. And it usually does stem from childhood. I actually do appreciate the fact that you mentioned childhood, because usually these kinds of things start with a specific memory that was received when you were younger and ended up becoming a lifelong thing. And most of these like fast food commercials are geared towards children. And
yes.
Call me controversial, cancel me or not, but I think that that's intentional. I think it's intentional, because if you can, that's during like specific periods of brain development. So if you can catch them in that vulnerable time, then you're going to hook them up for life. That's what most people, end up having. So
that's so crazy.
It's crazy
that they manipulate the kids like that.
Oh yeah. Because it'll last forever.
Right.
It's a lifelong subscription. You don't even notice.
Right. No, it's true. It's true. When you eat these foods and then your body doesn't know how to be full, and then you just constantly are filling yourself with these foods that are really, really, acting on your brain's reward system and all sorts of things.
And that goes into, she just mentioned the reward system. Don't make me. That is a whole rabbit hole. We'll be here for 3 hours.
It is. We really could talk for a long time. But overall, though, the thing that I love about what we're saying and what you're saying is, when you eat food that's high quality, when it's from the earth, it could help you really feel full. It could help you feel satiated naturally. You don't probably even need to be so specific with macros. Like the most important thing is that you know when you start to know when you're feeling full. You won't have this weird like codependency on food. And then naturally over time, you could lose weight, you could burn fat, you could feel better emotionally, mentally, and physically, you know?
Exactly.
So it's just like amazing. It's incredible.
Exactly.
Incredible.
And it was all because your body as a temple was now receiving the materials that it actually needed to maintain itself properly.
Right.
That's all that's happening.
Right. So I'm curious for you, like, do you have any advice personally for anyone who I guess like they want to change their relationship with food. They want to eat in a way that helps them feel better emotionally and mentally and physically. Like, do you have any other advice about what you would share with people who are wanting to change their diet or their nutrition?
So I'm going to answer a lifelong question that I get the most and that most people in the healthcare industry probably have gotten. How do I stay motivated with this? A lot of people.
That's a good one.
A lot of people, exactly, right? A lot.
Right.
Everyone in the healthcare industry has been asked that question at least 100 times.
Mm-hmm.
And
yes.
I'm going to say something unorthodox, but maybe it'll give you some perspective. I want you to ask yourself, why do we want to eat better? And that sounds weird at first. Why do we want to eat better?
Oh, I love that.
Motivation has an incentive, right?
Right.
And in this world, if you do not have an incentive to eat better, then just doing it is going to be a lifelong struggle.
Right.
Because the moment times get bad, you're going to question it and then you're going to go back to your old vices.
Right.
If you have something in the back of your mind that is genuinely worth living for, then you will recognize the importance food has in that. Most people that I talk to, they kind of already understand. And even when they have had their motivational periods, they'll eat better for a week or two. They feel good about it. And they're like, I do feel better. But then those hard times, strike down.
Right.
And they go back.
Right.
If you have something in your life that is worth eating better for, worth prolonging your life for, because that's essentially what's going on when you eat it.
Right.
If you have incentive for doing that, then that is going to automatically keep you motivated if you have that in the back of your head.
Right.
But I will say this though, it can't be something that's like, oh, I just want to like lose weight or I just want to like gain muscle.
Right.
It needs to be something emotionally charging. It can't be something super logical because that's not what makes humans move.
Right.
What makes humans move is something that's emotionally charged.
Right.
And, this might also be controversial, but it needs to be, I don't know if I want to say a painful experience.
Oh,
it needs to be.
Right. I get that. Right. Because we're wired to avoid pain.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Seek pleasure and avoid pain. So I'm curious for you, if you're willing to share, what was sort of your underlying deep reason because your lifestyle, dude, you guys should check his Instagram. He is like jacked and he eats amazing food every day. So like what keeps you going to make this because you seem like someone to me who makes this like a way of eating, like a lifestyle.
Yeah.
So what made that decision for you in your mind? Like what's the reason?
So this what actually made me precursor to that story that I talked about going into the bookstore, working in the nutrition section.
Right.
What made me do that was actually my 16th birthday.
Oh,
now,
okay.
For my 16th birthday, I had woke up and I ate an entire box of Pop-Tarts.
Oh, okay.
An entire box of Pop-Tarts.
Okay.
And then after that, I went out with my friends to go get Blaze Pizza.
Oh.
And I ate an entire Blaze Pizza. And then my friend was like, oh, I have a Cold Stone gift card for you. So we went and got ice cream after it. You guys, I don't know if you guys don't know what Cold Stone is. They have massive servings. It's big.
Yeah,
right?
Cold Stone ice cream, yeah.
Ate it all. And then I get in my car, my parents pick me up, and then they're like, hey, for dinner, we're going to go to a restaurant called Slater's 50/50.
Oh my God. Okay, we're in California and Slater's. Can you explain what Slater's is?
I'll give you a perspective.
Yes, that's a good idea.
Their ketchup packets have bacon bits in it.
I did not know that. I've been there and I didn't even know that.
Oh yeah, I did my Friday, I ate it, and I was like, oh, there's bacon in this.
If that's not perspective enough, I don't know what is.
Yeah, exactly.
So you ate at Slater's.
Yeah, so, but it was funny because at this point, I had actually gone in the car. Before I even got to Slater's, I was already like, oh, like crap. Like I've eaten so much today and so much garbage.
Right.
But, it's my birthday. I'm like, screw it. I'm 16 and my, sweet 16, whatever. I don't know what my logic was in my head.
Right.
So I go over there and I get through about half the burger and like the music is like super loud. They're playing like metal. My stomach's hurting. I have to go to the restroom. My head is, I'm tired. I'm all groggy. And I remember specifically looking at this burger and then I had put the burger down. And my mom always laughs at this and sometimes like calls me out from it. But she said that I threw my burger on my plate and I said, man, what am I doing?
Oh, no way. That sounds like a pivotal moment right there.
That was actually probably the worst that I physically and mentally felt at the same time.
Oh, wow.
I said, what am I doing? And I threw the burger in. And then I'm like, I'm going to get on this nutrition train right now. Because at that time, I had started working out. I was always an athlete. So I was on the football team. And they would talk about food every once in a while, before they tell us to tackle each other.
Right.
So it was very like, whatever.
Eat well and then kill each other. No,
yeah. Yes. No, it was very wishy-washy. So it was like, I just put it in the back of my head. I was like, whatever, whatever. I could just, I got some muscles. I'm fine.
Right.
But that really put it into perspective. It's like, wow, food can make me feel like this. Can it make me feel like the opposite?
Oh, I like that question.
Exactly.
Ooh.
That was kind of like my logic. I got home and terrible sleep after. I woke up immediately, had to go to the restroom. I felt like throwing up. It was just awful.
Right.
Just awful.
Oh, that's bad. That's really bad.
But it was good that it was bad.
It was good that it was bad. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Right.
Because people, like she said before, people don't change for positive reasons. If something's positive, then there's nothing to adjust.
Right.
Everything's already fine. When it's negative, that's the indication that, okay, it's time to move. Something's wrong.
Right.
That was my indication where I saw, wow, I have never quite felt to that degree.
Right.
And I haven't felt that way since because I haven't done that since.
No, I would say that's a pretty good motivating factor to go through so much pain and to see how badly you could feel when you eat so bad. That's actually a good experience because then you're like, wow, I never want to experience this again. And that's how we learn, even as kids. I don't know, in my experience growing up in a Filipino household, if you did something you shouldn't do, you're going to get a spanking,
So I don't know about you, man.
I don't know what it's like these days, but when we were growing up, it was a different time.
I don't know about you youngins out here, but no, exactly the same.
Yeah, if you put pain, if you experience pain, you won't do it again. And that's with food too. But I love that you switched it around and you're just like, actually, maybe I could eat in a way that makes me feel better. Like, what if I could do that? And that's where it comes down to the food is medicine. Like, there are foods you can eat that can heal your body, that can accelerate the healing process. Exactly. And that could make you feel better emotionally and physically and mentally. Because I imagine that now, with the way that you eat, how do you notice that you feel about yourself or how you feel every day? Like, what do you notice?
Well, I feel good. My sleep is fantastic. My mental clarity is great. My physical capacity improved dramatically from 16 to 23 now. And like I said before, like things regarding like headaches, stomach aches, having to go diarrhea. Sorry to throw that out there, but things like that. Like
we keep it real here.
Yeah, exactly.
We keep it real.
Things that are often commonplace for a lot of people just quite literally almost disappeared alongside with the other benefits.
Right.
I stopped cramping when I was running track.
I
could go on and on and on.
Right.
Essentially, the right fuel had made me the best version of myself. Right.
And that always reminds me to this analogy of like, if you had a horse that's a racehorse and you want it to be a champion, you're not going to feed it crappy food.
Exactly.
You want to feed it good food so it can run well, and that's the same with our body. Exactly. So I love that. It's just like food can heal us, food can help us. And emotionally, it can help us not be also, like when you feel bad physically, you're going to feel bad mentally. You're going to feel bad emotionally. It's the mind and the body are connected, and you can't separate that. But
100%.
so that's what I love about Eastern medicine too. Like they always connect the mind and the body, and they already knew from thousands of years ago, oh, the way you eat is going to help. It's going to cause you to feel badly, you know, and if you treat yourself well, you eat good foods, you're going to feel good.
Exactly.
You know? Yeah, so I love that you mentioned that. And then tell us more about where people can work with you, how people could find you, and what kind of services you offer.
So I offer one-on-one nutrition consultations as well as online personal training. So what that essentially entails is that you have 50 minutes with me to discuss your ideal goals. And then from there, we make physical and or nutritional adjustments in order to get to that certain space for the betterment of yourself. So you have two options with me. Either you can get personal training or nutrition consultations separately, or you can get a bundle with me where we focus on the trifecta. And I highly recommend that because exactly.
I love that.
I guess bifecta, is that even a thing? Because that's two things.
Right. I don't know about that.
I said that and it sounded weird. Cool, but I'm like, wait, there's two things.
It didn't sound that cool, but go ahead.
Oh, wow. What are you trying to say? No, I'm playing. But yes, or you get the bundle. And the reason why I say the bundle is because movement and nutrition, we said this at the beginning, is like salt and pepper.
Right.
They go together because the mind and body work in tandem with each other.
Right.
Here's what I like saying. And this kind of goes along with the analogy that she just mentioned, that when we are born, we have an unspoken contract with our mind and our body. Mm-hmm. Our bodies will do anything and everything our mind tells it to do. Run, it will jump, it will sleep, do whatever. Right. Whether you ask it or not, in order to keep us alive. All that it asks in return is that we make, the conscious or unconscious effort to move it every once in a while and to feed it the right things. Right. When one of those is missing, problems are going to arise. Exactly. So that's why I recommend the bundle. Yeah, no, I love that you do both. Honestly, I don't meet many personal trainers, first of all, who care about the quality of the food. You guys, he's the real deal. Like the real deal. Like I was a personal trainer myself, and I knew a lot of people, especially in the bodybuilding world, they just do their best to eat only to look a certain way, but in the inside, they feel like crap. Absolutely. They are starving. It's so unhealthy. And we could go on a whole rant about that. However, we will not. But I will say it's so rare to meet a personal trainer and a nutritionist who knows about both, who has experience in both. He lives and breathes what he teaches. He walks the walk. He talks the talk. And also, I love your philosophy about food and eating the high quality food, eating food that nourishes the body. You don't ever hear personal trainers saying that. It's more just like, we got to eat 1,200 calories a day so you could lose 10 pounds in 2 weeks. It can come from protein bars, Doritos, and that's oil. It's really rare to meet a personal trainer that actually cares about your quality of life, how you feel emotionally, mentally, and physically. It's really rare. So I really highly recommend that you check out his website. I'm going to put his links in the description box below. And then I also wanted to ask, is there any last words of wisdom you want to share with anyone before we wrap up? Recognize and embody that contract that I just mentioned. Mm-hmm. Okay? You can live the best version of your life right now, and your body will do it for you. Right. It will do it whether you ask it or not. Mm-hmm. All you have to do is move it every once in a while. You don't need to be a triathlon athlete. Right. Okay? Every once in a while. Do Qigong. Yes, it's so easy to move. There you go. She's so movement. Easy. Exactly. Right. She's movement right there. And it's fun and it's great. And it helps with mental clarity. Right. That's why I'm talking with her right now, because she's a fantastic woman and she understands the game. Thank you. And I do want to say, when it comes to depression and anxiety, I don't go to taking care of your mind first. I don't even go to Qigong first. I go to physical wellness first. Are you sleeping enough? Are you drinking enough water? Are you eating high quality foods? Are you moving your body? You have to take care of that first before you even take care of what's going on emotionally. So the first step to helping with any sort of mental health struggles like depression, anxiety, stress is getting the physical body
well first. So
Absolutely.
just want to say that.
And then you do that with food as well.
Right.
I did not add that part in.
Oh, did I not say food?
No, you said food.
Oh, okay.
I just realized
yeah.
you were asking me for some of my last words,
yes.
Charmaine.
Yes. He meant that as well. Food.
She said.
But thank you so much, Christian, for being here. I love your philosophy. I love your approach to food. I think anyone who could work with you would be an amazing opportunity for them to change their life. And I love that you could work with anyone online. So definitely check out his stuff. And I really appreciate you being here on the show.
Thank you for having me, Charmaine.
Hey, thanks for being here.